What up, everybody? It's Tony Torx here, just making this quick video on tips about removing an intake manifold and what you should do. This applies to every intake manifold out there, and yeah, so pretty much let's get started. So anytime you remove an intake manifold, always replace the seals that are on there. Never ever reuse the old seals, even if it looks fine. Always replace it. You know, you want to save yourself time here. You know, you don't want to have to redo this after you find you have a lean code or a vacuum leak or it starts running funny because you decided to reuse your old seal. It's crazy, but there are people out there that will do that. So don't do that. Another tip is anytime you remove an intake manifold, put some towels in each of these ports. You don't want a bowl or a piece of plastic to fall in there, because if, say, a bolt fell in there and you didn't notice, once you slap all this on and you start hearing a ping or a rattle when you crank it on, that would be a nightmare. You know, you definitely probably would break something, bend the valve, crack something crazy, but you do not want that to happen. That would be a nightmare, especially if it's not your car. If you think you dropped something in there, you know, a good thing you can do, or you know, is every time before you go back on, maybe use a flashlight, look inside these ports. You should be able to see the valve up there. You don't want to see something stuck or like a bolt in there or a piece of plastic. If you do see something in there, though, there are these nifty tools that you can buy at AutoZone or O'Reilly's. It's a magnetic flex tube or flex thing, and it has a flashlight on one end, and it's really cool because it has a magnet on it, so you can, and it's small enough to fit inside ports and be uh, it'll hold on to bolts if you drop one in there or anything. And if it's something plastic, it has this little, you squeeze it and it has these little arms there that can grab onto like plastic stuff. So it's worth the investment, especially if you're doing an intake manifold job. It's good just to have one of these, and it's good just to have one of these in general. You know, this thing, it's a lifesaver. You can grab stuff and drop a bowl. You don't have to like reach down there. You can just put your arm all the way and grab onto stuff. If you're doing this for a while, you gotta learn to not bend as much as possible, because you'll feel it when you're older. And I'm pretty young right now, so like it's fine for me, but better to avoid it now while you're young. And another tip, whenever you remove these intake manifolds, you want to use brake clean to spray onto a towel. Spray it on, and then just wipe outwards. Anytime you wipe these guys, you want to wipe away from those ports. You don't want any dirt to fall in there, any impurities, because you want to keep these engines clean. Just makes them last longer. You got to treat customers' vehicles like it's your vehicle. Remember that if you're working on a car, you got to be passionate about it. You got to have a care for cars, not just treat them like some random thing. You know, cars are a beautiful machine. They're a work of art, in my opinion. Beautiful. And yeah, so always clean those up. A mechanic I used to work with back in the day, his name was Pat. Honestly, I never really liked this guy, but he was really smart, and he worked on vehicles for about, he told me, 35 years. So he's master technician, smart guy, but he was a real pain to work with. Well, that's a story for some other time, but yeah, I did not like that guy. And the more time you spend cleaning something, the less time you'll have to deal with it in the future. Or if you won't, you have to deal with it at all if you clean it right. So spend the extra time, clean everything nicely, make everything just top notch. Don't leave any grease on these guys, and always clean the other end of your intake manifold as well. You know, you see that oil there? You want that all to be nice and dry, clean. And after you install, your new seals, if your intake manifold is a seal style intake manifold gasket, like this one that I got here, like this here, when it's these rubber seals, never put silicone on these. Do not put silicone on it and then install it. There's a lot of people out there that'll put silicone on these, but a good rule of thumb is, if you remove an intake manifold and there is no silicone on it, and it's factory, no one's touched it. Usually factory seals will be white in color. There's a reason why when you remove it there is no silicone on there, because the engineers, these guys that studied this, that have been doing this all their life making machines, if they didn't do it, you shouldn't either. There's a reason why they didn't do so. regardless of what people may say out there, the parts person, never put silicone on these rubber seal style seals. Do not put silicone. I personally have found other intake manifolds that were repaired by a technician mechanic out there, and people have hit me up to work on their vehicle. I'll take these out because they have like a lean coat or something, and of course there's silicone on there. I believe that that silicone must just wear out over time. It gets squished, it like expands with oil, whatever. But when it's things that seal up air, you want to just use that rubber seal. It actually will make your it'll make it last longer. It's less likely to leak out air. You're less likely to get lean coat. So just keep it as is. Just give it a nice clean. Replace the seals and clean outwards. Inspect your ports before you go back on. And yeah, I think that's actually the main things. I just wanted to make this quick and talk about this because I love cars, and I think that's something that you should know. Not that I love cars, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. But I'm talking about this whole intake process. So yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and stay in tune for more.